This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies!
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And we are here to talk to you today about
The Silence of the Lambs.
Murder. 1991, directed by Jonathan Demme.
Beats me.
Demme.
Jonathan. Yeah.
Story by Thomas Harris.
And starring Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins.
Which,
unfortunately, I feel like kind of overshadows who directed it.
Yeah.
Because like Anthony Hopkins and her are pretty much like known for this movie. Obviously playing Hannibal Lecter and Clarice. What's her last name?
Starling.
There we go. Yeah.
I wrote Sterling throughout the whole thing, and then I was like, nope, it's Starling.
Yeah.
I thought they were just saying it with a funky accent. Thought they were being like Starling. Starling.
Starling is a pretty bomb last name.
It is. It sounds like a superhero.
It does. And pretty like, it feels like one of those names that comes with like a really heavy title. I don't know. President Starling.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so we are... 1991, if we hadn't said it already. And it is kind of a cult classic at this point. I feel like everybody knows The Silence of the Lambs, even though when I was growing up, I never realized that like it was the Hannibal movie. You know what I mean? Because I knew like Hannibal was like, whatchamacallit, a villain, like a ghost face, like a Freddy. But
okay.
I didn't realize, like, I thought his movie, like, because everybody's movies are like almost named after what they are for the most part. I feel like, I don't know, or not. I guess not. But I never realized that it was The Silence of the Lambs, like that was
the OG. You thought maybe Hannibal was his movie,
or just I didn't really watch them growing up, so I didn't see this movie honestly till like after high school, I think, for the first time.
Okay.
And even then, I didn't like pay attention. Like I did now, like really.
I think I first saw this movie when I was really young, like really young. And I have memories of my mom like saying the "Hello, Clarice" line and stuff. And every time I saw like a furniture dolly or something, I was like, there's a furniture dolly right behind you.
Yeah. And
there really is.
It's funny because even me not watching it, I knew, like, because of pop culture, like all of those references too, because it was so popular and referenced heavily through, movies and TV shows and people just even mentioning it on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a "here's Johnny" type of thing, like catchphrase. So it's pretty cemented in the horror genre spectrum. Anything else you'd like to add in there? Is there anything that like, did this movie mean anything to you? Did you have any story about it?
No, I don't have any little anecdotes for this one. I just remember watching it very young and my mom being scared of Hannibal Lecter.
Because you come in contact with cannibals pretty often. That was sarcasm, but not.
Oh, okay.
It didn't read.
I was like,
but it's like also too, no.
I was trying to think back.
That like cannibal is like a horror like aspect, like in a movie. Like that is like, I don't see it done. You don't see it done too often, honestly.
Yeah.
Unless
that's true.
There's that movie Fresh that we covered not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
But even in between that, like you don't
That's
really,
a completely different idea.
Yeah, it is. But you don't see it kind of, well, in this way too, because especially it's like it's not even following him essentially, like we're following him trying to give insight on another murderer. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was like
so
a
many
whodunit.
layers. There's a lot of layers to it.
And it was, it had a very good storyline that unraveled itself really well. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I guess we can just get right into it.
Yeah. We open up with Clarice Starling, right? And she's training, just going through like kind of a montage of her doing her FBI Academy training, you know, where they're like,
course,
yeah,
like
that
a ropes
thing.
course.
Yeah. Which always seemed like fun to me. I want to do one.
Oh, yeah.
Like Cadet Kelly.
Yeah.
That was my shit.
I did love Cadet Kelly. I did like Color Guard and Cadet Kelly, basically.
Remember when she had the hair and like she like got all that paint in her hair?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I always wanted my hair to look like that. Like all hard and frail and look like it would like snap.
In
it
half.
looks cool. It looks like gushers or like jelly.
We can make this happen, Josh.
Jelly.
We
what
can coat your paint.
Through roll-ups.
Coat your paint in hair. We can coat your hair in paint.
It'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. But yeah, she's in the woods near Quantico Valley. We had some this film relies on some diegesis quite a bit, actually.
On the screen.
Yeah, on the screen. But she's running through this ropes course and it almost looks like she's running for her life.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I mean,
kind of right for her because she needs
it
to
is
graduate,
her livelihood.
right?
Yeah.
She needs to pass these courses and stuff so that way she can become officially part of the FBI. And she gets called by Crawford, right?
Yeah, meeting with Crawford.
And she ends up, just kind of showing her going through all of the different parts of the building. It's showing that there's like basically a lot of guys around her.
Yeah, very male-driven work force.
And I like how we get these like little moments where she's like interacting with guys passing by. I mean, like, hey, what's up? Or, you don't hear dialogue or anything, but it's that very like small talk kind of thing.
It's like you're watching a day in her life unfold as the credits are rolling. It's nice. They moved the plot along. And like then you get her running into her best friend in the force. I don't remember her name. I don't know if we ever get it. But she like establishes Clarice's name. I mean, we got Starling earlier, but she's like Clarice.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. Our main protagonist is named Clarice. And it does a good job of like, this is the place. This is the time.
Yeah.
This is the people, like setting the scene for you.
Everything getting set up. Yeah. And in such a way that it doesn't seem forced. It's very natural. It's just, like you said, what a normal day would be like for her, which really puts us into her kind of like we're already kind of coming into her perspective, her mindset as a character as well, because like this, like you said, it's a male driven world. She's constantly kind of throughout this movie as we hear certain remarks or even like the way that she is handled and talked to, like so much of it is her just trying to fight through that male whatever it is,
trying to break that glass ceiling.
Yes, exactly. Is this her? Was this the friend? Because I can't get like I'm pretty sure that it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Character's name was Ardelia Mapp.
She looks a lot older now.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that was 91 when it was filmed.
91. We weren't even born yet.
That's true. We weren't.
Sorry, guys.
We were
Whoever was born before 91. Or at 91. But like.
We weren't even thought of yet.
Age is just a number. At this point. It really is. I don't know. That's true. Age is just a number, bro. Eyes. Okay. And so we end up going through like this gun area. Like she ends up meeting up with Crawford, who is all the way down below in like the basement. You see her having to go through all these different rooms. And then it's called the psychological behavioral something department.
Yeah, the behavioral
and health and services.
Yeah.
And we end up meeting up with the dude who's like, I'm going to go get the doctor or something like that. And then he takes her to the doctor's office. And that's when she starts to look at like a bulletin board. And it's basically like, like when people are trying to just
the thing from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, a murder, like all the ropes and stuff.
With the red lines between, got all the news clippings on the wall.
Tacks in there.
Thumbtacks, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really serious. And we're trying to look for Buffalo Bill.
And it says that he skinned his fifth victim. So you can gather that he is someone who skins his victims. And that he is a serial killer at this point. Yeah. So, and then whenever Crawford gets in, he tells her that he's got a special case for her. Really, though, he calls it more of like an errand. Yeah. Which I was like, this is not an errand, sir.
It's more.
This is like, you're like asking her to risk her life.
And tells a bit more devotion to the job.
Yeah.
Because she's got to go face a murderer.
Who's also a psychiatrist.
So he knows how to like break the mind.
Yeah.
Get in there, worm his way in.
Really, it's terrifying. I mean, the fact that he can analyze you and deduce you down to like basically nothing.
Well, you're talking about my mother
later.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I feel that 100%. It's because he has that like superpower of being able to basically gaslight and manipulate people into doing what he wants, you know? And as we find out later, you know, as Crawford mentions to her to not, or I don't even think it's Crawford, it's someone else, I believe, who mentions to her that, you know, make sure you don't
tell him any personal details
at all, because he can use that against you and stuff. Or you'll be sorry that you did, or something along those lines.
I think it was Crawford who said it to her. Yeah. And then Chilton, I think, reiterates it, or whatever his name was.
And so, yeah, he wants her to talk to Hannibal, and she obviously
Hannibal the cannibal.
Yeah, she exactly.
Some cute little.
It's a little rhyme.
Or little rhyme. I almost said alliteration, but that's not.
Hannibal the cannibal sitting in a tree. KISSING. Until he eats your face off.
First, he eats your face,
and then he eats
your toes.
Oh yeah, toes. Yeah. And so we have her. Yeah, she obviously, his reputation precedes him. She knows what's up, and he ends up warning her about Hannibal. I think this is the part, right? And then we cut to her talking to the dude who's running the facility over there at the other place, and he's like, he's a monster. And that's where it kind of segues into when we have her going to meet Hannibal at the like a penitentiary, I guess, like a state prison, something like that.
Yeah, they called it an asylum.
Asylum, okay, yeah, got it. We're gonna call it what the movie called it. Ooh,
sorry,
your body disagreed.
It said yes.
And so yeah, he's a monster, and also we're getting to meet
that transition a lot. Oh yeah, I thought that was nice.
What's this dude's name? The dick.
Chilton,
who's being a complete absol. What an absol. I kind of like that, but he's being an asshole.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was like, sounds kind of fun if you have the right guide and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was like,
because he was asking her if she's in town for the night. And then he's already had mentioned that like she was beautiful. The doctor mentioned like sending someone, but not someone as beautiful as you are, or something like that. Yeah. So already he's laying the creep vibe heavy on.
People hit on her so much in this movie.
Throughout the entire movie, yeah. And they really like turn her to a piece of meat.
She's pretty, but I didn't think it warranted as. That sounds bad. I think. I think warranted as much as she got.
I totally agree with you. I totally get what you're putting down. I also like think that I guess it was a different time, so maybe it was even heavier back then. But like, yeah, just people were so blatantly like just catcalling in a way, and like flirting with her or making her seem inferior because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Or it's that like, you know, she is basically a part of the FBI. Even Hannibal at one point, like whenever he's meeting her, is just like, oh, like you're not even a real agent. You're just a girl. Like
you're basically just a student.
Yeah. So, well, I guess he doesn't dismiss her because of her gender, because he's smarter than that. But it does feel, I guess, because of her student and because not being a full class. Yeah, he does dismiss her a bit, but he makes her work for it essentially. But this is whenever we do have her meeting the dude that was like the guard at the
Barney
at the gates. It's such a like they have like a little entrance for those guys, and then they have a special entrance to go into the place where I guess they have all them, like it's like Azkaban essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have her going in, and essentially, isn't Barney like warning her even more or something like that?
Yeah, she's gotten so many rules.
Yeah.
Like you can't have pens, you can't have pencils and anything sharp, and you have to have like you can't touch the glass, you can't tell him personal details, stuff like that.
I wouldn't be able to. I would have broken one of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of rules. And they warn her, they tell her like this little anecdote of like apparently one time whenever his restraints were removed that he bit the tongue, like bit a nurse and then ate her tongue, and his blood pressure or his pulse never got above 80.
Yeah.
Which I was like, damn, couldn't be me. My
real.
like resting heart rate's like 110.
Already. Yeah.
That's why I'm on heart medication.
And yeah, that really goes to show just how like in control he is, and he really nothing is like impulsive, nothing is like makes him like it's all what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Like it's
all methodical.
Yeah.
Planned.
Which is pretty scary.
Yeah.
And so we have her going into the area, and she is going past a bunch of inmates who are giving off, you know, the little dangerous vibes, and like
I can smell your cunt.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. I'd say pretty aggressive behavior to be meeting someone.
Yeah.
And
because
so
of course he's at the end of the cell block,
Yeah.
so she's got to walk past like I think it was like 3 individuals.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
they were
too
all-
terribly long, but all of them made some sort of comment, and they were all vulgar and demeaning towards her.
And she finally makes it all the way to the end of the hallway where we have darkness. Because Hannibal Lecter is kind of in the shadows. It's kind of lurching in the background. And then she's like, hello? And he's like, what's up?
Sup, bitch?
But no, he ends up smiling at her. Right? Or no, my bad.
He
ends
has
up
to see her credentials.
That's right. That's when he has to see the credentials. Yes.
And she's like, do. And he was like, that expires in 1 week. You're not even a real officer, are you? And she was like, oh, well, I'm a student in training. And he was like, Jack Crawford sent a trainee to me? What the hell?
Yeah.
He was mad.
He was mad because I guess he feels like he deserves something more, which was probably a part of Crawford's plan anyways to like send her because he knew it would probably get him a bit irate or something.
Right. Get a rise out of him.
And so he ends up kind of like almost dismissing her in a way, being like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you. You're not going to get anything out of me. But that's whenever they kind of, they start talking a bit more, and they're talking about the dude next door. He was talking about her, and then he's like, yeah, I can smell you. Like he starts smelling through like the vent up top, like, and it's just kind of doing this weird tongue thing, like a snake, and is
Smelling
like,
with his
oh,
tongue.
you wear this
Evian
something,
cream.
but not today. Like,
Yeah, and sometimes you wear this perfume,
yeah.
but not today.
And so,
Yeah.
and her eyes were like, you're right. Like,
I'm like,
I
oh,
do.
shit.
Yeah.
I just told him personal information, basically. Yeah. And he asked to hear from her mouth what Miggs next door said to her. And that's when she repeats the, I can smell your cunt. And it establishes a sort of trust and between the two of them, because she was able to repeat such a humiliating phrase and embarrassing phrase. And it shows Lecter that she can be trusted. And that's what he says.
Yeah. Boobies. And she ends up asking about his drawings, right? Because he has drawings on the walls. And they start to talk about Buffalo Bill because he brings it up, I think, or something like, he's like, aren't you here to ask me about that or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes. And then that's whenever I think he's like telling her at this point that he is not going to help her, or she's like, I don't remember. Do you remember the dialogue exactly?
Not quite, but I know that she does this shitty segue into her questionnaire.
Yeah.
And he calls her out for it. And he's like, look, we were doing such a good job. We were building some rapport. We were having this back and forth. And then you just brought up that shitty segue of this questionnaire. And now I would want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
We established trust. And now, no.
Yeah.
Basically, he went into quite, well, after that, they're talking about Buffalo Bill and stuff too. And then they're talking about the trophies that like, why would he skin his victims? And then she was like, well, it's to keep trophies. And he was like, well, I didn't keep trophies. And she was like, no, you ate yours. And he was like, well played.
Yeah.
He kind of smirked. And then he launches into this long and impressive monologue that deduces her down to her core, basically. He does get some of it wrong. She doesn't tell him that. But he basically launches into this monologue saying, like, you're from the South. You got like this. You got cheap shoes and a nice handbag, which shows that you care a little bit. But you are not. You're just like one generation away from white trash is basically what he says. And that your dad, you have this accent you try to cover up. Your dad was probably a coal miner or something. And you lived out like on a farm or something like that. And just basically brings her down to nothing and before her eyes. And
she, like you said, and she's just kind of taking it. Just listening to him go off. And it also just gives kind of showing you his skills of like being able to read people by just his observations. And what he can pick up from just a small bit of conversation.
He really has an issue with her shoes. He mentions her shoes twice. Yeah. And I was like, damn, Hannibal. It's like,
he's a style icon.
Yeah. You got to be wearing Prada shoes over here, nothing else.
Someone to the Met. And I think at this point, like after telling her all of that, right, and he's telling her like, you know, I don't want to work with you, she ends up trying to leave. Or
well, she does say the line basically to point that skill back at himself and write down what he sees.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was good. She's like, basically be introspective and really deduce yourself down. Yeah, so that way we can get to know you more. And he's basically like, yeah, no, you can fly back to school now. Fly away.
But that's whenever she unfortunately gets thrown, what can I say, over the sperm. Some cum, some jizz. It gets thrown at her.
Yeah,
from the dude next door from Miggs. Yeah, which is
I think his name was Miggs.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure. But
at first I thought they said with an N, and I was like, that's problematic.
Probably not. Probably not that.
Yeah.
We'll go with the M.
Miggs.
But he ends up, throwing his spunk at her, and it gets like in her hair and stuff. And then she's like,
I know, it was a big glob.
Yeah.
Like, and he really flung it.
And she's like, ugh. And then, you know, Hannibal is just like, come back over here.
Come back.
Yeah. And he's like, go see Miss Muffet or something like that. Miss Moffat.
Seek out a Miss Moffat, an old patient of his. And as she's leaving, we get this flashback to her of her childhood. And we see that her dad was a cop. So clearly Hannibal has unlocked some memories in her / triggered her in some way. Even
though her dad was not a coal miner.
Yeah. But brought up, mentioned her dad in general. And it's now triggered these memories in her. And she's walking out to her car. I would be crying too if I just had cum flung on me.
Some gross man's cum. Yeah. It's gross. Yeah. And honestly, I guess stuff that we don't see in between, but I'm like, did she even wash up? Like, it just looks like she just like, and that was it.
Wiped it out of her hair.
And that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully she like ran her head under the sink and then the blow dryer or something.
Oh, because her hair wasn't wet.
I know.
So I was like,
that's why I was like, hopefully there's a little blow dryer
off. Like, okay. And so that's whenever we have her crying at the car, kind of having a moment because of these memories that she has of when she was a kid.
Yeah.
And then we cut to, we're looking at newspapers and stuff, and that's whenever we get the info that Miggs is dead.
Yes.
He was killed overnight in his cell.
Yeah, by Lecter whispered to him basically all night until he swallowed his own tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm like, crazy. How do you do? I kind of tried. I was like,
I don't know.
It's connected.
I have no idea how you swallow your own tongue. You like push it back in there. I think you'd have to like forcibly push it back. You're going to throw up. Stop. You sound like a cat. And so we have her then talking about Moffat, right? She's looking up Moffat, trying to find the old patient details, but it's not an old patient under Moffat, right? She gets led to that other guy.
Yeah, basically because he has destroyed all
his records,
former patients' records
before he got caught.
Yeah. So she was like, I can't find any record of this Miss Moffat, but it does lead her to
the storage facility,
your self-storage unit, which was leased out to a Miss Moffat.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And it was some sort of anagram that she figured out and figured out that he was from Baltimore or something.
Around that town.
Yeah. And that the storage unit was in the same town. And that's what led her there. And we get there and basically we're with this guy who's saying, yeah, this thing's been prepaid for in full for 10 years.
Right? Yeah. For a decade. Yeah.
That someone really thought it out. And he was just like,
okay.
I mean, I would be curious.
Right?
I'd be like, what the fuck is in here? You got, what are you hiding away that you need to lock up for 10 years? Like,
I wonder how much money that costs. But yeah.
I'd be nosy.
Yeah.
I guess maybe there's some sort of privacy.
I think it's up to you as an owner. I don't know if there's any laws about like you not being able to know what's inside your storage facility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you do have the right to know, but maybe he just didn't care.
Yeah, probably didn't. He was like, I'm not going to bother my driver to help you open this door.
Well, and especially because like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but when you get all that money, I'm sure he was just like, I ain't going to question it. Sure.
Like, sounds good.
Yep.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
And so they're getting the storage facility door open. It's taking her a while. She gets like the car jack and is jacking it up. She's able to slip underneath, but before she does, she gets in the car and is like, hey, they know I'm with you. If anything goes wrong, like, they help out. And also they know I'm here. Yeah. So, and then that's whenever she gets in. It's really dark inside, but she's taking a look around.
And it's massive.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge storage area. It's not even like a
it was like a storage building.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just a unit. It was like it was like the size of this room. Even bigger.
I would say.
Yeah.
'Cause she was kind of walking around a bit.
And it had a full car in it.
Yeah. So it'd have to be bigger than this room.
Yeah.
And as if anybody could tell how big this room is. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty big room, you guys. At least 12 by 28.
Yeah, it's bigger than my bedroom.
I have
That's
no
for
idea
sure.
what I just said.
12 by 28.
We also have Hannibal. We're cutting in between her and Hannibal, right? Excuse me. I don't know why I have that in my notes. Maybe we're not. But that's whenever she's looking in there and goes into the car or the fridge, and that's when she finds the head.
Yeah, she uncovers the car and it's got this scene.
Yeah.
Unfolding in it. There's like a headless mannequin. There was like a whole bunch of mannequins, right? Or was that later on in the... No, yeah, there were mannequins in this one.
There's like a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, like a crocodile and other, or maybe it was an alligator. I don't know, a crocagator. And this inside the car was a headless mannequin that was like all dressed up, decked out to the nines. And then underneath the cloth was this head in a jar.
Yeah.
That had makeup on it and stuff, like really gaudy makeup, like blue and red eyeshadow or red lipstick and stuff
Kinda
like
look
that.
A clown, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ish.
And so she then figures out that Hester Moffat is an Enneagram. And now we're back with, I believe we're back with Hannibal at this point.
I was like, I remember it kind of cutting or going back to him at some point, because we find out that it's Benjamin Rasbill or something like that.
Yeah,
Rasbill,
I didn't get his name.
Yeah, Benjamin Rasbill is the person, and he used to be a patient of Hannibal. And so that's whenever she goes to him on, like, you know, why did you kill him? Why didn't you eat him? Like, where's the rest of his body? And he's like, well, I didn't kill him. I just found him.
Yeah, I found him like that, and that was how he was. So I just kept his head.
Yeah. And then that's whenever we start to go to him, talking to her, kind of questioning her about, well, like trying to think more about the case and about Buffalo Bill. And I think this is when we start to get, because of the makeup that was on Benjamin, on like the topic of transvestite being brought up.
Yes.
Right. Which is, no longer the correct terminology, but like, Hannibal was like, well,
he says the person in the jar was born a man.
Yeah.
But
like to dress like a woman or something. It's like a riddle almost.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I wasn't like, because by the end of it, I was like, okay, was this a trans female or was this just a male?
It was just the male. Yeah,
I couldn't tell by the end of it.
But it was just the male. And I think it's because of what Buffalo Bill did to Benjamin, this person, whatever. Because I'm not sure at this point if it was Hannibal who put the makeup on Benjamin, or if it was Buffalo Bill who put the makeup on him, or it was already just like that.
Yeah,
maybe
like
he put
if
the
he
makeup
was
on
already
himself.
wearing it.
So it could be a
and
thing.
He mistaked him for a woman and then killed him.
Well, it's because Hannibal says that Benjamin was Buffalo Bill's partner. No.
Oh.
Yeah, he said that it was his partner. Buffalo Bill and him were partners, but Benjamin came to Hannibal. He had been seeing Hannibal, but then told Hannibal that he was afraid of his partner because his partner had already hurt someone. Yeah.
Right.
So that was him. Basically, we have him connecting those dots for Clarice, and then something about transvestites being like manic depressant and this and that. Like,
I think he says, no, the person you're looking for isn't
manic depressant,
isn't trans, but
thinks they are,
and he's really just manic depressive.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes off the rails and all of a sudden asks if like Crawford visualizes sexual advancements with her and stuff, and was just like out of left field. I was kind of like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? But I think it was just one of those moments again to make her role less of a thing.
To just show the skeeziness that she has to put up with.
Yeah. And then
we cut to Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. And they also
that girl
took away all of his pictures too.
Because
they make him watch gospel.
Because of killing, having
Migs.
Something to do with that.
Yeah. And the pictures come back into play later because she brings them to him later.
They do.
But then we cut to Memphis, Tennessee with the lady driving home. She's jamming out, having fun. This lady is named Catherine.
Yes.
As we later find out.
She's the governor's daughter.
Yeah, a senator.
Senator, my bad, yeah. Senator's daughter. And
some high official.
Yeah. And she ends up, making her way downtown past the bar.
Walking fast.
All of those things, gets home, and as she's unloading and trying to get into her apartment complex area, there's this dude who is trying to load up. Actually, wasn't she already spotted before this? No.
Yeah. He had his night vision goggles on, so we got a little POV shot through the night vision goggles.
Seeing her come up,
looking at her parking her car.
That's right.
And stuff.
And so he's trying to get furniture into his truck van, and that's whenever she's noticing she's going to be like a good human being
Samaritan.
and be like, hey, can I help? And so he's like, oh, yeah, you can help. Yeah, you can.
And
go,
I was like,
help me put
no,
this
don't
in there.
offer to help him.
Yeah. And
never
she
offer to help anyone, you guys.
Yeah, and especially when they're asking you to put a sofa into a van.
Yeah,
and
if they ask you
have
to
go
get
first
in the car,
yeah,
no.
Yeah. And so he puts her in there, and it's one thing to like maybe like have closed the doors on her and like, or like, but straight up just like, hey, are you a size 9? Bam, bam,
size
bam,
14.
Bam. Yeah, 14, and just starts like whacking her.
Whams on her.
Yeah, and so she gets knocked out. I
also
and then
he pulls up the tag and he was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like it's a game for him. Like he was like, I'm right.
And he, snatches another victim, unfortunately, at this moment.
And the poor kitty cat was left alone in the window.
Yeah.
The little kitty was like, Mom, you're home. Yay. And then she got kidnapped and the cat was like, meow, meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, meow, meow.
Meow.
What the fuck?
Literally. And then we cut to what? Crawford and Clarice talking about Hannibal at this point.
Yeah.
And about all the other Buffalo Bill victims, like how the ones that was like, one was, what's it called, tied up and like put in the river and found later. But
we're heading to Clay County, West Virginia, because they just found another body that was one of his victims.
Okay, yeah.
And they're talking about how he keeps them alive for 3 days, shoots them, skins them, and then dumps them. And they're going out because this particular body had been weighted down. And so she was found near, or the other bodies like floated some distance, but this one, she was weighted down. So they were like, later on, they're like, oh, he must be nearby.
In this area.
Yeah.
And then also it was, it just took them longer to find it because of those weights and stuff, even though it was a victim that was before some of the other murders that had happened. And then we cut to, I believe she's having another memory, right? A memory of the funeral of her dad.
Yeah, because they get to a funeral.
Oh, they
home,
are at a funeral. That's right.
And Crawford asks to speak in private. And then he was like, some of the matters of this case like shouldn't involve, a woman.
Yeah.
And calls them into the other room. And then she peeks in on the casket and has this flashback of her seeing her dad in her casket. And I was so scared whenever she, as a little girl, leans in to kiss her father.
Oh,
that she was gonna well, I was afraid she was gonna wake up and like be like
kissing the
random dead person that was actually in the casket. But then she just was still behind the 2 doors. So she never actually went into the room. Thank God.
She was just in her little memory world. Yeah. And that's whenever she ends up getting called to go back there with Crawford, right? And the other dude. And they end up looking at the body that they found.
Yes.
And it was pretty gnarly the way this body looked. It'd been in the water for some while, right? So it was waterlogged and all that. But like the way like Buffalo Bill cuts up his victims and skins them, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty horrible. Wouldn't want to go through that. No. And I'm also thinking like shoots them, then skins them, or skins them, then shoots them?
Shoots them, then skins them.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least they're dead.
Yeah.
For that bit.
Because that is,
I imagine in order to get some surgical cuts that he needs to make his skin suit,
they would have to be dead.
So
they wouldn't move.
Yeah. So they're not, he doesn't get any jagged, rough edges and stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
But
you know a lot about that, huh?
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we have
what was that stuff they put on their nose?
I don't know.
You think
honestly.
It was like menthol or something to
I couldn't tell you what it would be.
Distract
Baking
from the dead
powder.
body smell.
I don't know. Honestly. Arm soda.
Arm and Hammer.
Arm and Hammer.
Some sort of smelling paste was put on their nose.
Which probably didn't even do that much, I feel like, because their reactions were still like, "Woo, that stinks."
Yeah.
So yeah, dead bodies, man, they smell. And also, whenever we get a look at this body, we don't necessarily get a look at first, but we can tell it's really gruesome because of the reactions of like, them, and especially that one old man who's like, "What in tarnation?" But it's not tarnation. It's like someone else like, "Good God Almighty" or something like that. I don't know. But we have them flipping over the victim, and that's whenever they look at the back and they notice like the patterns of the way that the skin was cut.
Yeah, the lacerations in general,
and they're
stuff.
like, well, why would he be cut like that? You know, they're kind of perplexed.
Yeah,
I believe at this point.
And then they're taking photos of her body, and it's like on a Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
And they take some pictures of her teeth for the dental records, and then the Polaroid prints, and they hand it to Clarice, and she is like examining the photograph and notices that there's something lodged in her throat.
Which how, but yes.
Yeah. She was like, there's something in her throat. And they were like, well, yeah, she was drowned. She's probably got leaves and stuff in there. And she was like, yeah, no, let's get this out. So they take it out, and it's like a little chrysalis.
Yeah.
Little cocoon shoved down her throat. I think chrysalis and cocoon are different, but
I don't. I think they are, because a cocoon is more of like. I think a moth. I think cocoon is a moth, and like other types of bug things, and a chrysalis is definitely what a butterfly comes out of. I know that for sure. I believe. But we have all of that cocoon thing coming out, and they're like, whoa, oh my gosh, okay. And they're like, well, that definitely wouldn't have gotten, like, that shouldn't be there. So that was placed there on purpose. So they put it into evidence. And then that's whenever I had gotten ahead of myself, but that's when they start looking at the cuts on her back and noticing like how different they are, and like it starts to raise questions. And then this is whenever we take the moth to the bug guys.
Yep. To the bug experts. And they're undoing the little cocoon, and they find out that it's a something, which is a death moth.
A death's head moth. Yeah.
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 They gave the official name first, and I definitely didn't write it down.
That?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I was like, it definitely said something like mortis.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. Definitely on those lines. It's like the Latin name of it, right? And then we also have one of the guys being, once again, like creepy and flirting with her.
Yeah.
Like, and she's even calling it out.
Which it was kind of like.
He's the only one that she called it out to, though. Yeah. Maybe because he did seem like nerdy as opposed to the other people who were like more her seniors.
Maybe she was flirting back in a way too.
Yeah, or maybe she felt too, because these people seem more her age. She's just
comfortable with them.
Well, they also seem more her age, whereas the other people were always more older than her, or just like the senior officers or like people in charge. So like, I don't think she felt like she could talk back or be like, don't do that.
Snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we find out that it's a death moth, and that they are not natural to this area, that they are only found in Asian countries.
Yeah.
And in Asia. And so
it had to be specifically delivered to this people. Someone had to like literally breed them here
and grow him and keep him safe. Yeah. And he was like, this little guy had a good little life of eating honey and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, not a good little life, because he got shoved down someone's throat before he could come out.
And that's whenever we have it cutting to Buffalo Bill's lair, right? We cut to as soon as after they start talking about the moths and all that, because we see a moth at the lair, and it's like,
yes,
yeah, it's like, because we see the hole, like it starts to pan and show the basement and shows the hole, and we have Catherine, right?
Yes, Catherine is her name.
The senator's daughter, and that's when we get to find out it's the fucking senator's daughter, because there's a news like briefing happening, and I don't think, did he know that it was the senator's daughter, right?
I don't
remember.
No, honestly. If he did,
I don't remember if that ever gets like explained.
Yeah, I think he just
coincidence.
I think she was just his type.
Yeah,
and
he needed that size.
Yeah, needed that size of person to make his skin suits. Oh, it reminds me of Tusk.
I still haven't seen it. I don't know if I will.
One day.
It seems like traumatizing.
It is.
Yeah. And so we have, at this point, learning it's the senator's daughter. And that's whenever we see that. Also, why would they choose like the most ugly pictures of poor Catherine to put on the TV and be like, this is my daughter?
Are we going to die?
That gives scary movie vibes.
It does.
It gives Abaddon.
It reminds, and it also reminds me of One Missed Call. Do, 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 do.
Well, it's over. Whatever it was.
I didn't like it.
Was that in here?
I don't know.
It was so low. It could have been in a different room, I guess. I don't know. I didn't hear it in here, though.
I could.
Oh, okay. You sure it wasn't just...
Oh, maybe just out and about. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
It just started over here. But we are... ugly pictures of Catherine, poor baby pictures. And then that's whenever we have... we're cutting back to Hannibal and Clarice, right?
Yeah.
Because she's giving him an offer that he can't refuse.
Offering to trade to a more nature-friendly facility, one where he can have a view and where 1 week out of the year he'll get to walk along the beach and swim in the water underneath SWAT team security and
like
stuff like that. Yeah, for an hour. And
doesn't sound that bad.
He'll get to actually see some nature, like his cell will have a view and stuff like that. He won't be just staring at brick walls. But this is only if he can solve who Buffalo Bill is before Catherine dies. Yeah. Otherwise, it's off. Yeah.
So there is a time sensitive challenge happening here now. And he's like, okay. And you can tell like he's kind of smiling at this. He's like, all right, you got you perked my ears up. I hear you. I might be able to help a little bit. And that's whenever he gets to her he says, though, he will only help if she divulges more information about herself.
Yeah. They keep saying quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Like, you got to give me something in order.
So you can get something.
Yeah. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah. And so that's whenever she starts opening up about the death of her father.
Yep.
Yeah. And talking about, so she ends up, divulging more about herself, which is something that she was told not to do. But at this point, she's like, I have built up this rapport with him. I need to keep it going.
Yeah, I got to get this info.
And then that's whenever we we are also end up talking about the moths, right? We talk about the
significance of the moth is change.
Yes.
And he says, our Billy wants to change too. And this is where he says Billy is not really trans. Billy was made a criminal through years of abuse and he hates his identity and that's why he tries to change. So he basically hates himself so much that he thinks that if he switches his identity, he'll be
happy,
better and happy, but that he's not really... That's not really what he needs.
Yeah, for sure. He needs to be put down.
Yeah.
Just kidding. And so that's whenever we have...
he also comments on her shoes again.
Oh, yeah. He does not like the shoes. Does not like
them.
He
hates her shoes so much.
He's more of a Nike type of man.
I got my Nikes on.
Hey, fresh. Swagged out. And then we have...
And my ghost socks.
Oh.
Low ghost. Bless you. Bless you.
Your ghost made me sneeze.
Stinky.
Stinky? That's
stinky
what they
ghost.
Stinky ghost? No.
Stinky.
No, they cleared my sinuses. They like literally
spicy
went into my nose. Spicy ghost. Like they flew like Casper, like they flew into my nose and then like came out. Like that's what I felt.
Went in one, out the other.
And so we have what are we doing? Where are we at? Oh, yeah. Well, and so that's whenever they start talking about moving, her moving with her mom and like her living with her stepdad, right?
Yeah. And well, her mom had died and her mom died when she was young. And then when her dad died and left her alone at 10, she went to live with her aunt and uncle on a farm.
There we go.
And
that's where he was kind of right earlier.
Yeah. And basically, we don't get much more on that yet.
Oh, no. Oh, and then what's his name? His name is eavesdropping, right?
Yeah. Chilton comes in and he's sitting there talking and he's messing around with a pen inside, like laying down on Hannibal's bed.
Yeah.
While Hannibal's all like straitjacket up and stuff to the furniture dolly. But he's messing around with the pen and the whole time Hannibal's eyes are just glued to the pen.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh, that pen's going to come back later.
Really wants that pen.
That was one of the rules. You're not supposed to have it in there.
Yep. And he ends up leaving, forgetting the pen. And then when he we see that when the camera pans back that it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So Hannibal took it for sure.
And then they get to the Memphis International Airport. They say that they're transferring him, and he basically says, like, look, Clarice lied to you. There is no deal. I just got off the phone with the senator, and she did not approve any of this.
Yeah.
But we're willing to make a deal with you if you lead us to Buffalo Bill. Like, we'll kind of honor it.
Yeah.
You won't have as much leeway as what they originally promised you, but you'll have a view at least. And they get to the airport, and it confronts
the senator,
and we see that Chilton's pen is missing. He looks in his coat pocket and stuff, and he can't find it. And so his pen's gone. So you're like, and then he says that Buffalo Bill's real name is Louis Friend.
Yeah, which is not his real name. We found out later, but yeah.
Yet another Enneagram.
And he basically gives them this false information, but not really false. He's playing a game with them essentially. And
he does give pretty accurate, detailed description of him,
of like, well, like
his blonde hair, blue eyes,
how tall he is, and all that. And that's whenever we have him also speaking to the senator, and like he says something to her that really sends her off. I don't know if you wrote it down.
Oh, he was talking about her nipples.
Yeah, that's right.
He was saying, did you breastfeed your daughter?
Oh, yeah.
And did it make your nipples
nice and tight
tough?
Or tough or something like that?
Yeah. And then he was like, whenever... I forgot what he said.
I remember it was something obscene, and she's just like, ugh, like, get him out of here. Like, let's go. And then he's like, oh, and Senator, nice.
I like your suit.
Like your suit. Like, I was like, what?
I think he meant her skin suit.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like your skin. He's going to eat it.
That could be it, honestly, because I was like, why would he say I like your suit? Unless he like
he really is a fashionista.
Yeah, I was like the shoes things. He could be really into fashion, and so that's whenever we have him. Oh yeah, he also had said that Lewis had murdered a transient at this point. That's when we get more information on that, like that he had murdered, I guess, some transient, and that's when we got the information that his boyfriend was the head that we found. And so we go to Clarice sneaking in to see Hannibal now.
At the Shelby County Courthouse.
After he's been transferred, and she's talking to him. And that's whenever he gets some more kind of personal information out of her.
I also don't know if he ever actually says, hello, Clarice, in this movie at all. He says, good evening, Clarice.
I'll have to look at that. I don't remember.
Because I was trying to...
be ready for it.
To write it down. But then I don't know if it's in this movie or if it's in like the second one where he actually says, hello, Clarice.
I don't know. Isn't the second one like a prequel or a different one? Isn't that the red dragon or whatever?
Oh yeah, tattoo? Something like that.
Yeah.
Girl with the dragon tattoo.
The girl with the red dragon tattoo on the Hannibal Lecter. But yeah. So she ends up seeing him, and this is where we learn about the lambs, right?
Yeah, and she's bringing back his drawings, and then she says something about the Enneagram being fool's gold, and basically he was like, gave them a morsel of information, but it was like fool's gold, I think, is what it meant. Like,
gotcha.
It's it's
like information, but not.
It's like finding fake gold.
Yeah.
And
because we find out why later.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. It's the fact that it sent them to the wrong address.
Yeah.
It's like an old address. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Got ahead.
And then, no, it's fine. And then he does ask her about more information on her personal life. And this is where we get into the lambs and that they were slaughtering lambs at her aunt and uncle's, and she woke up to this horrific screaming one night, and she said it sounded like a kid yelling, and she went out to the barn up to the second level little loft area, I guess, where they were slaughtering lambs, and she tried to save them and open up the cage, but they just all stood there. So she grabbed one and ran with it.
Yeah.
But only made it a few miles before the trooper caught her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ended up killing the lamb anyways. And Hannibal asks her, do you still wake up screaming, like to this screaming in the night? And she's like, well, yeah, sometimes. And he's like, and you think that if you find Catherine, you're going to silence those lambs. And it's like roll credits.
That's the end of the movie, you guys. And that was The Silence of the Lambs.
That's right.
Directed by Benjamin Platt. 2000
Demme.
And Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato.
And starring Selena Gomez and
this is actually the princess movie. Princess
Protection Program. Spin-off where we do only DCOM original movies, Disney Channel original movies. And so we are, talking about the lambs, how they were silenced. And then for some reason, I put in my notes, he just finger fucked her.
Whenever he hands her the case file.
Oh, yeah.
He like touches her finger.
It's so weird.
And it's like,
it's such an extra thing. Like, it's not even, because I don't remember
it was just like,
there's not even any. Yeah, he like does something really weird like that, like to her. And it's really weird. And I think it's just like a literal like character thing, like just to add to the character. Cause like it doesn't, like he didn't take anything from her, he didn't add. It doesn't like a special. Yeah. It didn't alert her to anything. Like
he just touched her.
Yeah, it was so weird.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. That's it really just shows and adds up to like how kind of crazy he is, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's just weird. He's a weird dude.
He is weird.
Even though he seems so composed, you know?
He does.
And that's what's even scarier.
Yeah.
And so we have the officers trying to give Hannibal his second dinner, right? At this point.
And this is where we see that pin come back into play.
Yes. He like took it apart, right?
Yeah. It was
so
like
that way he could
cap, basically.
So he ends up getting they're trying to, they do get him, what's it called, handcuffed to the chain, to the thing, what's it called, the rail, but he's like able to
jail cell.
He's able to one up
Cage.
and get out of that, and then put the handcuffs on one of the other dudes, and then that's whenever he gets the other dude, and then it's just like he just starts going ham and whacking and beating him. Oh yeah, and then eating the face.
He bites the face, and then he maces him real close up in the eyeballs.
After he bit him. Yeah. So it's like open wound with
just
mace.
Burning everywhere. And then he takes the stick thing, baton, and just starts beating the shit out of that other guy. And then we go back downstairs to the officers who are on the main level, and we're watching the elevator come down from the 5th floor. Yep. And they're like, who went up to the 5th floor? And they're like, no one should be up there.
So they're like, oh shit.
Yeah. And they're like, so what's going on? And then it stops at level 3. And then the main guy's like, call SWAT. Call everyone. We need backup. We need an ambulance. Like, I don't know what's going on, but something's happening.
Yeah. And then that's whenever they're like, all right. They try to get all the guns out, the heavy ammunition. You see everybody running around, like freaking out. And then, well, not freaking out, but getting ready. And then they get all set up by the elevator. And then it starts coming down again, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or it's stuck at level 3 and they get into level 3.
Okay.
And then they take it up.
Yeah.
And they get up to the 5th level and they see the officer
strung up.
Like
an eagle.
Yeah. Like a little eagle.
Yeah. And that's whenever we do have, and also forgot to mention earlier that the dinner they were serving him were lamb chops.
Yes.
So I thought that was a funny little moment. Because of course he
wanted a second dinner and he requested lamb chops.
Yeah. And then that's whenever we have the theatrics of all of this, like everything that he set up, like just to escape. And that's whenever we have.
Yeah, because we have the one officer strung up and then the other is on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or so we think.
We think he's on the ground. Pembry. Is Pembry still alive? And that's whenever they're checking him and he's still got a pulse. So
and he's got some shallow breaths happening.
And it's the way that he looks so fudged up because, as we know, Hannibal started biting his face and stuff. So
his face was covered in lacerations.
And blood dripping. And then that's whenever we have them taking him out, trying to get him to the hospital. But at the same time, as they have him on the gurney, we're in the elevator and blood starts dripping from the ceiling above. So they're like, Hannibal's and, on the roof of the elevator. So that's whenever they start to get all of the people into the, whatchamacallit, shaft of the elevator to see like what's going on. They're like, he's down there.
They use that little reflective mirror at first and they see, and then they're like, Hannibal. Yeah. And they get nothing from him. So they're like, shoot him in the leg to like get a rise out of him. And they shoot him and the body does nothing. Yeah. And so they're like, he's dead. And then they pull him up though. And I guess they realize who it is because we see a phone call happening, but
at the same time,
too late that
it was Pembry.
Yeah, that it was Pembry, and the person in the ambulance was actually Hannibal wearing Pembry's face as a mask. Yeah. And that's why it looked like it had so many lacerations, because he cut his little face off and wore it on his face.
So crazy. And was able to take control of the paramedic that's in the vehicle with him. And that's what happens to Hannibal. That's Hannibal.
And he escapes.
Yeah, he indeed escapes. And this is whenever we cut to, I think, Clarice, right?
Clarice with her bestie. Mm-hmm. And they realize that he's sewing the skin together, and that's why he needs
the different sizes of women or whatever.
And so to be slightly bigger. Yeah. So that way he can starve them. So that way the skin hangs loose. That's true. So he can cut it and it still have like elasticity to it. Yeah. And then they say the phrase, we covet what we see every day. And that's when they put two and two together that he knew the one that he weighted down. And so she starts looking into Frederica is her name. Mm-hmm. She starts looking into Frederica's past, and as so far as going to Frederica's house and is exploring her old bedroom and finds a music box with some like hidden photos that were a little scandalous.
And, like, nudie lingerie. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she just leaves them out for her poor dad to find. Which I was like, don't.
Obviously, they were hidden for a reason.
Yeah, I was like, don't make the dad find these photos. Like, that's probably going to scar him. I don't know. But,
no, I'm sure it would.
Yeah. And then this is where she puts two and two together that he's making himself a skin suit, because she sees Frederica apparently was a seamstress and loved to sew. And she sees in the closet this like different various cuts of fabric, like in triangle patterns and stuff. Yeah. And she's like, oh,
he was a seamstress. He's a seamstress.
He's cutting the people up as if they were pieces of fabric and sewing them together.
Yeah, because she calls Crawford. Whoa, calls Crawford and is like, our guy. He's either a tailor or he's a tailor or something like that.
Yeah,
he's a seamstress or something. It's not. Would it be a seamstress? Is it a tailor?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
And then this is basically when they're like, well, we actually already know who it is and we're on our way there right now. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, it's in Boston or something. Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, that's only like 400 miles away. So I'll be there as soon as I can. And then he was like, no, you just stay there and investigate like whatever lead you're on right now. Yeah. Don't worry about coming here. We're going to get them. Yeah. Kind of thing. And says that no one will forget that she was the one who found him. Yeah. Too. And she's like, okay. And then he hangs up on her, which I was like, okay. And then we flash to our man, Bill. What was his real name?
His real name was Jamie Gum.
Yeah. Putting on makeup and dancing naked. Yeah. While Catherine is sitting there trying to capture the doggy.
Precious. Yeah.
Yeah. Precious. She's putting a chicken bone of the food that she got to eat, tied it up to the rope, and then put the threw the bucket up out of the well with the chicken bone to try and lure Precious in there with her.
Meanwhile, like you said, Buffalo Bill's having himself a moment upstairs. And is,
dancing. He's all
dancing around.
tucked in.
Talking about, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I really liked that scene with just the lips and putting on the makeup and then, would you fuck me?
Oh.
I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Definitely Buffalo. Or even like earlier, we didn't mention it when he was taunting her, basically being like, she rubs the lotion in and something.
She rubs the lotion on its skin unless she gets the hose again.
Yeah, that part. Yeah. And then
when she starts screaming, he's like, ooh.
Me with my knees and
pulling at his skirt or his shirt.
And that's whenever we have we cut back to Clarice talking to her friend. And I think they're putting more together essentially. And then that's when it's all happening. And then that's whenever she finally gets a dog. She gets Precious. And then she's like yelling at him, like, I've got your dog or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that Precious isn't barking anymore. And like so much is happening because at the same time we have like them setting up the knock at the door at the house, at the fake house, or the house that's not really where we're supposed to be at, with like this setup of this dude who's supposed to deliver flowers, but he's not really a real flower delivery person. And that's when they end up, it's so funny how they time everything because she's like, oh my God, what yada yada.
It makes you think, because at first I was like, they're going to the wrong place.
Yeah.
And then but then the buzzer started going off
at the same time
in his thing. And I was like, oh shit, are they at the right place?
Yeah.
And then it happened again. And I was like, okay, I guess they are at the right place. And whenever they said it's time to go in, I was like, okay.
Charge.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, we're about to get him. And then he opens the door and it's Clarice there. And I was like, oh.
Hello, Clarice.
It's Clarice.
Yeah. So she ends up being at the right place, which means
that all of the SWAT team and everything is in the wrong place.
The wrong place. And also, they're in their city, right? Like she's in where they were, or she's in Frederica's town. That's right.
Yeah, she's in Frederica's town. And she went to Frederica's old friend.
That's right.
Who was a seamstress with her. And then
that's how they got to finding out that she was working for that old lady. And this is that old lady's house.
Yes.
Bam.
But now he lives in it.
And so that's whenever we have her, opening the door, and it is Buffalo Bill. It's James Gunn himself.
We're in Calumet City.
And that's
Illinois, I think.
Yeah.
That was Precious being captured.
Yeah.
Meow. Precious is now a cat.
And so that's whenever we have her going in, because she's like, you know what? Asking questions, poking around, and he's like, you know what, coming inside because I actually think I have her brother or someone's card that he's got to look for to get information for her to get in contact with someone who might know Frederica or something like that. Yeah. Or not Frederica, but the old lady who lived there.
Yeah.
Or something like that, even though she's dead. I don't know.
I think, I was a little bit confused, but somehow he gets her inside the house and everything's seeming okay at first. Like he's just actually legitimately looking through the thing.
Yeah.
But then like there's a butterfly portrait on the wall next to her, which I don't even think she notices.
No. Mm-mm.
But all of a sudden she sees the death moth inside the house.
Just fluttering in.
Yeah.
Or was it a dead one?
No, it fluttered in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was alive.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh shit.
Her eyes got wide.
This is our man.
Yeah. And especially because he's asking all these questions too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you have any leads? Like, what's this?
It seems like the police out here have no clue what they're doing, kind of thing. Yeah. And so she then pulls the gun on him and is like, freeze, put your hands up, spread your legs.
And he just jolts and she shoots and misses.
And we see before that, we saw that there was a gun on the oven there. Yes. And so whenever he runs that way, he picks up that gun. And so now we know that he has a gun as well. And it's not a one-sided fight.
Yeah.
We got equal arms on both sides.
And as she's chasing and trying to like get after him through the house, that's whenever she ends up in the basement. And
I was so worried she was going to die because she died in her training earlier. And he was like, check your corners. And I was like, bitch, check your corners.
Yeah.
I was
she does.
I was getting so stressed because she was checking him. But then there was some times where I felt like she was leaving her back awfully exposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was getting real nervous for her.
She's making her way through there, and that's whenever she ends up getting all the way down to the bottom and finding Catherine in the hole. And I love how she's like, okay, you stay here. I gotta go,
I'll be right back. And Catherine's, don't leave me, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, Catherine's not here for it.
And then I just flashed back to her mom being like, Catherine is such a nice and sweet girl. Yeah. If you just talked to her, you'd only know. And then she's sitting there screaming.
Come on, bitch.
Fucking bitch.
I mean, I understand. Hey, Catherine, if I was in your situation,
I would also be yelling, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, could you imagine getting found and then them being like, I'll be right back?
Yeah, I would be like, what?
No, you can get me out now and we'll go look for the bastard together. And so that's whenever we have her then leaving and going to look for him. She goes further into this is like huge underground air. Also, like, this is a huge basement.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It was like a whole nother level of the house.
Like, what? Yeah. And so we have her going through it, and then he turns the lights out, right? He ends up like busting the lights or something. So the power goes out. And so it's dark. But he has the night goggle visions on that he had earlier.
Ew, and she finds a rotted body in the tub before the lights go out.
Yeah.
And that was really nasty looking. Mm-hmm. It was really gross. But yeah, then we're getting cool first person POV shots through the night vision goggles, which were cool. And we were also getting some first person POV shots before from her that were really cool. But it almost seems like he's about to get her. It was so fucking creepy whenever he like reached out and was like so close to her fucking face.
And I love how she like, it's like almost
she can't feel it at all. I feel like you could feel.
No, like I feel like you can feel. I feel like you can definitely feel like
there's like a sort of magnetism.
Well, and like you feel like
I don't know. Maybe let me close my eyes. I feel like I can still feel it.
Right? Maybe because but I feel like, and this is just me, like the level of air, like displacement changes when people are next to you. So you can feel that, I don't know. But I don't know. Like, it's really surprised me too, though, that like he's like right behind her, right? And then like I love how she just like starts going forward and is like this and not like right behind her, like I don't know, like I would have been doing like tornado, like tornado around me,
just spinning around in the circle.
Room, just like bah, 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 bah. Just shooting at different angles, I guess. I don't know. But that's whenever, and he's definitely toying with her at this point because he at any point could just shoot her.
Yeah.
But he chooses to not to, and he unfortunately like
didn't have the gun
cocked already.
Yeah.
And so she hears him click it. And so
that's what hers makes was her already cocked. Unload.
Yeah. And
she was like bam, 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 bam.
And takes him out. And that really, honestly, I thought like, damn, this could have been a moment where she got shot at the same time or something. But no, she doesn't get shot.
Yeah.
And she takes him out, and she takes him out pretty quick because he just dies.
Yeah.
And we're able to save the senator's daughter, get her out of the hole. The cops and everybody show up and all that. We get her graduating
to actual detective
through all of that. And then we have like a cute little graduation party. We get to see her friends and like everybody's there. Crawford is like, congratulating her. And then and before she's there, like, you got a phone call. And then gets with Crawford, and Crawford's like, hey, don't forget that phone call, which almost makes me feel like, did Crawford set this up? But anyways, Crawford's in on it.
I could see that.
And then that's whenever we have Clarice. We have her talking to Hannibal.
Yeah. And he says, well, Clarice, have the lamb stopped screaming? And then she's like, Hannibal.
Yeah. Where are you? Yeah. And he's like, doing? Don't worry, I won't come for you. After everything we've been through, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And like she said earlier, it'd be rude of him. And then
he almost had like some sort of respect for her, like some sort of like equal.
Like
to
they
her.
were friends. Yeah. And then he says, I love the line.
Oh, to end it? Yeah.
Yeah. When he was like, I'm having an old friend for dinner. And it was like, ooh.
We see it's
Chilton.
Chilton. Yes.
Yeah, Chilton. And you see him get off the plane, and some land that I don't know where they were.
Hannibal was in this god awful wig.
Yeah, terrible wig, little fedora kind of hat, glasses, and then a suit that was ill-fitting as well. So maybe he's not a fashionista.
Maybe not.
And
TJ Maxxinista.
Yeah. And you just see the credits rolling as you see him walk off after the doctor, and you see that he's going to eat Chilton for dinner.
Happy Chilton.
Happy Chilton.
And that is the end of The Silence of the Lambs.
From 1991.
Yeah.
Directed by Jonathan D. Story by Thomas Harris.
Starring Anthony Hopkins.
And Jodie Foster, as well as Ted Levine as...
Crawford?
Ted Levine Crawford.
As probably Buffalo Bill?
Yeah, I think he was Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo, which I don't know that I've ever seen Buffalo Bill in anything else, so I guess, was that his one and done?
Let's see. Brooke Smith was Catherine Martin. Let's see.
Buffalo Bill. Anyways, do you have any fun facts today?
He was in Monk.
Oh, I never watched that.
Me neither.
Do you have any fun?
Oh, he was in Flubber.
I vaguely remember Flubber, but I don't think I've ever watched that fully.
Oh, Flubber's a great movie.
I only ever saw that like in school, I think, when we would have like subs and I would fall asleep.
I love Flubber.
Flubber. How did they create Flubber? What is he again?
He's some sort of
gelatinous.
Yeah.
Like Jell-O, no? But science. Okay, you know what? That's not.
He dances.
That's the dude from Monk, right?
And
Jell-O and Monk and oh god and Flubber. Or is it Robin Williams?
It's Robin Williams.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. R.I.P.
Yes, I do have some
fun factoids.
Oh, whoops! It accidentally clicked on. Oh, you want to know a goof?
A goof? What's a goof?
A goof is when the movie messed up.
Oh, well, how? What do you mean? And they left it in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At around 44 minutes, as forensic comes to take a photo of the victim's body, the corpse visibly blinks and as hands touch its face.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
I didn't notice it either, but that's interesting.
When you get some mail, makes me want to wag my tail. Something makes me yell, mail.
Mail time.
Fun facts.
Okay, it's loading so slowly. My phone is like not cooperating in this room. What in the hell is going on? Trivia, please.
I'll go ahead and give you my review rating if you want.
Okay, it just came up.
Oh, okay, then go ahead.
Okay. At around 17 minutes, Jodie Foster claims that during the first meeting between Dr. Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling, Sir Anthony Hopkins' mocking of her Southern accent was improvised on the spot. Foster's horrified reaction was genuine since she felt personally attacked. She later thanked Hopkins for generating such an honest reaction.
Damn.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to act like an ass, like my character today.
I'm going to be a real asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that method acting. After Lecter was moved from Baltimore, the plan was to dress him in a yellow or orange jumpsuit. Sir Anthony Hopkins convinced director Jonathan D. and costume designer Colleen Atwood that the character would seem more clinical and unsettling if he was dressed in pure white. Hopkins has since said that he got the idea from his fear of dentists.
Okay.
Interesting.
So many people are afraid of dentists.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like going to the dentist. I think it's fun.
Okay, slow down. I didn't think it was fun, but I wasn't scared either.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I like the feeling of getting my teeth cleaned and then that little sucky thing. I love that.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember always having to get my teeth pulled when I was little. I had like 4 teeth pulled. I had 3 caps and I had like 10 fillings. I had really bad like
little baby teeth
when I was younger. Yeah, before my adult teeth, thankfully.
Oh.
Yeah, but I just remember all the time like them like getting that big old syringe that was like this big and metal and like injecting it into my gums and it tasted like metal.
Yeah.
And like numbing everything, but it wasn't really numb, and then pulling the teeth out. Yeah, I remember all that.
Ouchie.
Yeah, it smelled a lot. Not like bad, but like smelled like, you know, like that smell of like when your
Tooth decay?
No, not tooth decay. Like when they're drilling through teeth.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
I know what
fine
chalky
grated
smell.
chalky stuff that's going in the air too. Yeah. And so I kind of like it. And so we have what other fun facts do we have?
In preparation for his role, Sir Anthony Hopkins studied files of serial killers, and he also visited prisons and studied convicted murderers and was present during some court hearings concerning gruesome murders and serial killings. And then the real-life FBI's behavioral science unit assisted in the making of this movie. And then one of the inspirations from whom Sir Anthony Hopkins borrowed for his interpretation of Dr. Hannibal Lecter was a friend of his in London who rarely blinked when speaking, which unnerved everyone around him.
Ooh, cool.
Oh.
I'm going to blink less.
George A. Romero came in at around 1 hour and 13 minutes. The bearded man who accompanies Dr. Frederick Chilton, Anthony held, and the two guards who forcibly removed Clarice after her final meeting with Dr. Hannibal Lecter. And then in addition, Dave Early from Dawn of the Dead appears as one of the SWAT team.
That's cool.
So Romero was in on this.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool, I think.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Bop, 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 bop. Those are all really cool fun facts.
Rating?
My boo rating would be, I would have to give this rating
Boo
a boo
time.
of...
Boo time. On the wall.
Boo time. It is. It's very
Boo
cute sign.
time. You hated it.
I think that it's a wonderful film. I think that it was pretty entertaining. I thought that
But
overall, honestly, it was a bit underwhelming. I think in the sense of, I guess I just expected there to be more in terms of what Hannibal did.
Yeah.
In terms of him being such a prominent figure in horror culture and stuff like that. It wasn't even, to me, I was like, this wasn't even his film. It was Buffalo Bill was the bad guy. You know what I mean? Kind of in essence, even though Hannibal is the bad guy too. And Hannibal was kind of even more of the mastermind because he was smarter than Buffalo Bill. But it sounds bad because it's a really good movie. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay.
But I think that's solely just because of it didn't necessarily wow me, amazing film. So I love this story, but I know that it was a good enough film that it was very smart. It played out well. I did I guess that we knew who the killer was the whole time as the audience. We didn't really necessarily, we weren't in the dark. So I thought that was super interesting, but I also thought that kind of took away almost from me as from the who. I think
whodunit
you know how I
aspect.
love a whodunit, and maybe that's why I didn't like it as much, because for me, from 20 minutes in or 30 minutes in, whenever we first, or probably that's too early, but when we see Catherine and all of that situation happening with Buffalo Bill, and it's oh, we already see who it is.
Yeah, we can see his face clear as day.
I don't know, but it definitely is still really good. It's a good psychological thriller. It's messing with your mind, especially because it's more on the psyche type of level of horror. And I mean, even that in itself, that's pretty horrifying. What Hannibal can do to Clarice and to people, and learning information and how he can use that to manipulate and get what he wants. And even ends up killing the police officers later and stuff. And overall, it is set up super well. It pays off pretty good. See, it sounds crazy that I don't have any qualms with it, but I'm also not super blown away with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just a 3.5 for me. It's a good movie. But
fair.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I had seen this from a young age, and Hannibal Lecter was kind of, like you said, one of those bigger horror names for me growing up. I think watching it now underneath a horror lens, I don't think it's not a scary movie. I mean, it's terrifying what people are capable of. which I do enjoy movies that show just how scary people can be. And Hannibal Lecter as a human being is one of the most frightening individuals I think you could ever come across. So because of that, it was a little bit on the slower side too.
It's a pretty long movie.
It is. Yeah. It was about 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And I think I would probably give this film a 4. Not too far ahead of you. I don't think it's a 5, but
I think for me it was the length maybe as well.
Yeah.
That it was just a kind of
it's a little drawn out.
20-ish minutes drawn out. That's all.
Yeah. But overall, I think it was a very
Also, Hannibal gets away.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
I think that has to be probably one of the most scary parts is that he is in fact on the loose.
Yeah.
And like if you're watching this and then like being afraid of like Hannibal actually being out there, like they've let him out.
Yeah.
He's running free.
Well, and the funny thing is that like, cause like I said, I'd never paid attention to it before. I, for some reason was so certain that like, oh, he doesn't escape or like he's about to come back or like they're about to, get him. He's like somewhere in the building or something.
I also have vivid memories of them walking on the beach.
Oh.
But I think that must be another.
I think that's the one with the tattoo, the dragon.
The dragon,
I'm
the red
pretty
dragon.
Sure. Yeah, there's something about like a beach house or something like that, or like something on the beach. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm confusing the movies, but I think overall it was a really well done film. Like we said at the beginning, it was a story that unraveled perfectly, and there were no really like major plot holes or anything like that. And Hannibal Lecter as a character was just so brilliant and devious and terrifying. And I think that Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of him is
what makes it.
Yeah. Alone deserves a 5. Like his portrayal was a stand-up performance, like stand-up job. The man really made me believe that he was this sociopath, psychopathic, just monster. And I think there's something to be said for that. And then Jodie Foster did a great job in her performance as well. She kind of reminded me of Kristen Stewart.
I can see that. Yeah. Or Kristen Stewart kind of reminds
me of Jodie Foster.
I can definitely see that.
The way that she would like.
Yeah, totally cool.
Pause and
do that thing.
With
her delivery.
Yeah.
And then like
with the mouth. And then her eyes.
Well, they kind of. Not to like, they also kind of look like each other a little bit too.
Yeah, they do look pretty similar. But yeah, I think a solid 4 from me. It was a wonderful film that from a horror perspective, it's not scary. But it was, Anthony Hopkins and Hannibal Lecter, I blanked on the name for a second, were
based
really
off books.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did say based on a novel by
Thomas
Harris, who wrote the storyline.
Gotcha.
And then, I think Hannibal Lecter and Anthony Hopkins did a great job. And I think the idea of Hannibal Lecter is terrifying, but the movie itself wasn't terrifying. And so because of that, I have to maybe not give it a full 5. Yeah. But overall, I don't have any qualms with the film. I think it just maybe was a little slow and, but still such a nice, unique storyline too. I don't know. It was really good. I liked it. I would watch it again.
I think it's just for me that it's one of those, like, it's a slow burning movie. Like you definitely have to be in the mood to watch it. It's not bad by any means whatsoever. Yeah. It's just like one of those movies. But yeah, and I'm looking right now, and so there's Hannibal, there's The Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and Hannibal Rising. And apparently the way that they like have these orders. So like Silence of the Lambs always came out in 91, right?
Yeah.
And then Hannibal came out in 2001, which is the sequel. And then Red Dragon came out in 2002, which is a prequel. And then Hannibal Rising came out in 2007, which is another prequel. So yeah. So that's why they're kind of all like flip-flopped chronologically.
Around.
Yeah. On the way that they came out with the storyline. But yeah.
Interesting.
Because I'm like, also, that's what always confuses me too, is I was like, I know other movies come out after other movies, but they're like, they're prequels. But anyways, that is
1991's The Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, I totally blanked on the name. This is like The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club.
And we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio.
That's right. We are actually in the studio today. Super fun. They always take great care of us. And we've got a fun boo sign.
Boo sign.
Boo sign. Boo sign. It almost sounds like Busan.
It does.
Bussy.
I couldn't know.
Anyways, they take great care of us. You can listen to us and all of the other amazing podcasts on their network, all at one central place, which is
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
And if you want to not listen there, but listen on your main podcasting platforms, we have two real big ones, and that would be
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then word of mouth, tell your friends. Even though it's not spooky season, it's spooky 365 with us. So tell your friends, and then make sure that you write reviews, because reviews are the only way we can also really get ahead.
Only 5 stars.
Only 5 stars, please. Don't hurt our feelings.
Thank you.
Only 5 boos from us. And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on Silence of the Lambs, or what film are we covering next? We
will be covering, drumroll please. I actually don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go back into my little notes here, and I can let you know in 2.5 seconds.
Okay. But if you want to let us know your thoughts on Silence of the Lambs, or whatever film we are covering next, you can do so.
American Psycho.
And
then after that, we'll be covering Split.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So, and if you guys have noticed at all with at least these movies that we've done, Pearl, Silence of the Lambs, American Psycho, and Split, they're kind of more psychological horror movie themed. But yeah, super excited about those. I've actually never seen American Psycho, like all the way or anything.
I don't think I have either.
I've only seen like the famous clips.
Yeah. Same.
Split I have seen. Pretty good movie.
Split I have seen. Yeah, I like Split.
But
yeah, if you want to let us know your thoughts on those films, you can do so at One Central Place, and that is our social media platform of Instagram, and that's at
Boobaes Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boobaes, not your boobabes.
That's right. And until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
Bye.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.